Senator Manchin is abusing his own constituents. I know that sounds somewhat controversial, but think about it. I wonder sometimes if right-wing extremists, especially those in the Senate and Congress, are thrilled that Joe Manchin has modeled himself after their corporate love fest, which is exactly what it is. The verdict is in, and Manchin has given in to his corporate backers to block the tax hikes on the rich to pay for the infrastructure bill, which would undo the corporate tax bailouts created by the previous administration, and they are really large bailouts. He has potentially also blocked the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, which does little but screw his own state, one of the poorest in the country, by the way, out of the help that they need desperately. Now, many people, when they discuss this bill, talk about inflation and leaving a nasty legacy for our children. What they ignore is that the economic woes of today could multiply if not dealt with now. If businesses fail, if people lose their jobs, if landlords don't get their rent, etc., the economy will fail. We've already seen it in the bouncing stock market. Though we've made strides with the monumental increase in vaccinations, we still have hospitals that are overrun, and at least 1,500 people are dying each day in this country. That in itself will have a negative effect on the economy as families lose their breadwinners and can't pay their rent or buy products from businesses. The infrastructure bill, though not specifically designed to address the pandemic, offers help to people economically and creates millions of jobs. With so many people out of work, needing to take care of their children, this bill is needed. The effects of a failing economy now could result in a slower recovery later. It took years for the economy to recover from the 2008 recession. Some people say we never did recover completely. Now, the fact that what politicians say and their real motivations differ was obvious long before we had a pandemic. And the influence of the corporate interests have become a major problem for most of us, helping to prevent cost of living raises in our country in the last 2 decades, eroding the middle class, and a number of other things that have negatively affected everyone but the most wealthy. It's clear that the voters who voted for Manchin in West Virginia are not benefiting from his corporate interests. His defender of the poor, while really defending rich, harkens back to Governor Huey Long, who started out as a Robin Hood and eventually became highly corrupt. And certainly there have been other Democrats who have taken this route. But Democrat or Republican, corporate greed is killing voters who are not rich, and the situation is getting worse. Many candidates are essentially put into office by corporate money or political action committees, which is essentially the same thing. Rich people putting their financial interests before the needs of most of us in this country. Ironically, Manchin's corruption might force a showdown on the filibuster, something that the Republicans will not like at all. What is most noticeable is that Manchin simply repeated the price of Joe Biden's plan as too high, but never says why. Nor does he explain why he feels he can ignore the short-term effects of letting the economy tank. Nothing is ever that simple, something a senator would know. And even the major financial newspapers have supported Biden's plan. Think about it. Thanks for listening.